Welcome back, guys, to a Stonk Dad video. I am super happy to have you guys with me at a new week. It's new week. It's Sunday. We're going to go over my watch list. We're also going to do a little bit of a recap of last week as well, price action, and then what I was talking about last week. Just going over what I was saying in my watch list last week, and then seeing how well it worked. Okay, so stick with me here. Okay, so I have a screenshot of my watch list from last week, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through what I said here and then kind of compare to a price action chart. So this was my watch list from last Sunday, so a week ago. And what I was saying here on SPY is we have really large positive gamma exposure levels to the upside. I said that there was some pretty decent ones at 457, 459, and 460. So usually when gamma exposure levels are very positive, once price gets up towards those levels, dealers have to do the opposite of what their positions are in order to hedge their positions, right? So positive gamma exposure levels usually means a rejection of price. Sellers try to stay away from those strike prices once price gets up there. So in this case, I saw up here, you can kind of see it in this chart where my cursor is. All these grouped up positive gamma exposure levels. This highlighted one here, and the one in white is where price was. So that kind of gives you an idea of how large that resistance area was. So if we go back to last week's price action, you can kind of see what I meant when I was saying that. So this was Thursday, the week prior, but this was Monday the 31st. This was a day after I posted that watch list. So you can see that we never broke above this 458 level, because around this area is where that resistance was, right? So it didn't matter really where it was, but there was a big group of positive gamma exposure levels there. So 458 rejected, and we kind of just continued down for the remainder of the week. We did kind of retest it a day later, at market close, it looks like, at market close. We did head up towards that 458 level and retested it, but again, we came back down and stayed below that 457 level, which I mentioned here in the watch list, 457. Okay, so and flow was pretty even. It was bullish kind of at the beginning of the week, but then it kind of was flat or a little bit bearish towards the end of the week. So that kind of paints a picture of what happened last week with the downward momentum that we had. We came down, retested 448, and then came back up to 443, and then plummeted right after that. So let's take a look at some of the levels that I'm looking at for this next week. Let me pull up that chart. So I did do a written version of my watch list, but this video is kind of my watch list and like my ideas surrounding that going into this next week. So what I said, let me see exactly what I said here so I don't botch it, so I don't do like contrary of what I wrote down. So it looks like I said, yeah, okay. So wait, is this new? Hold on. Okay, never mind. Okay, so this gamma exposure level here, this big 449, that is pretty much the resistance point that we have. If price goes up towards that level, it is likely going to see a rejection at that 449 level. Now, I am thinking that we're going to have a little bit more downside with the huge plummet we had on Friday. But if we do get above this 449 level, we can likely retest 452, which is that next positive gamma exposure level. So these red ones are supported with dealer buying or selling into it. And then these large green gamma exposures are where price tends to stay away from. Okay, so we're kind of right here. So these bars right here, we're at 446. We pretty much ended the day on Friday at 446. So if we do fail 446, if we do not hold that, we can head all the way back down to 442. So this 445 gamma exposure level is likely going to be supported with some dealer selling. So if we do get below that 446, I'm looking at 445 and then, 442. And then if we do get below 442, we can see 440 with these big, large negative gamma exposure levels. Now on the bull case, if we do break above 449, which I don't think that we're really going to do it, but you never know. So if we do break above that 449 level, we can go and retest 452, which I'm going to be looking at if we do. So that's the bull and bear case with gamma exposure levels, which I look at every single week. What else do we have here? We have CPI on Thursday pre-market, which is really important. The market's going to be moving a lot on Thursday, depending on what we see pre-market regarding that news. So that's the economic calendar. Let's take a look at flow map here, which is really mixed. So I like looking at this little tool over here because it shows each expiration of all the options in the entire market. So I like looking at the weekly because you can see how smart money was reacting the entire week of last week. So it looks like market makers, this is the 8/11 expiration, which is this Friday, the second from the top. So it looks like we're pretty much dead even with bulls and bears, with puts slightly in the lead by about 1 million net positive on that. So it's kind of a battle right now what's going on here with the bulls and bears. It's going to be fun to see what smart money is going to be doing this week. So that's that with flow map. Just be careful with chop guys and stuff like that. I usually when it's kind of mixed like that, I'm a little bit more careful on my plays for the week. So keep that in mind. But if we do get a very like big flow day, kind of like we did on Friday, I always play those. I really like days like that. What else do we need to go over? Oh, something last week that I noticed. Let me pull this up actually that I really liked from last week's watch list. This doesn't have to do with this week, but it's just something fun to look at. So let me pull this up here. You guys can probably see. Okay, so this is SoFi. Oh, let me go back to my watch list here real quick. Hold on. So last week on my watch list, I said so I usually like to look at some unusual option contracts every single week. So last week I was looking at the SoFi $8 strike puts for August 18th. And they had earnings on Monday, which they did very well. But I did notice a pattern. So this was last Sunday before their earnings came out. But I did notice a pattern with their earnings in which SoFi spiked up very high, but then like within the next day or so, it always plummets back down. So that's kind of what I said here. It goes up after earnings and then it immediately dumps. So this flow could likely be in preparation for that. So this was a very unusual option activity that I saw on Sunday. And that's exactly what happened with SoFi. So they had their earnings. Okay, let me just do the 1 hour here. So here's their earnings run up. This was like right after their earnings, which they pumped up, and then immediately they dumped the next day. And that's exactly what happened. So the contracts that if you would have bought those like right after earnings, which I didn't, but I mean, that was my idea the whole time around. But if you bought those right after earnings, you pretty much saw a very nice return because it was down about, what is this, 11. It went from 1150 down to 950. So that's a pretty big move. That's like a 20% move or so. Yeah, that's like a 20% move almost. So yeah, just a little bit of a recap from last week. It was really fun to look at. I did have one other one that I was looking at, but I wasn't as confident as this one that I had on my recent watch list than I did that SoFi one. So I did take a look at some of these cheaplies. And I saw the only one that it really caught my attention was the Ford one. If I can even find it. I don't even think it's on here anymore. Anyways, yeah, it's not even on here anyway. But yeah, I was looking at a Ford one. It was for December 11 puts. Now, I wasn't too confident with that one. I didn't really put anything for unusual options because I didn't really see many. A lot of these are for... oh, now that I'm looking at some of these are looking nice, like this Nikola call and also this CCJ. I'll have to take a look at those and let you guys know. But yeah, these were not on when I was looking. Maybe I just didn't refresh. But this Nikola one is really close expiration. So take a look at that one. I think that's in the money though. I'm not quite sure. Let me just double check real quick. Yeah, it's out of the money actually. Okay. So pay attention to this one, Nikola $3 call. There's a lot of volume in that one, and it's pretty cheap too. So these contracts, 25,000 volume. This was not on when I was doing my watch list, so this is interesting to look at. So that's the one that I'm really looking at for next week, Nikola calls, because these are weekly expirations and there's a ton of them. All right, guys, that's my watch list. I'm probably going to be doing these every week if you guys enjoy them. So leave me a like, comment down below, subscribe please to the channel. I'm going to be going over the convergence tool up here in the next video. It did pretty well. I want to say it did fantastic last week, give or take like a day or two. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys have an awesome week and good luck to you.